warm welcome and thank you for joining us. So my first top tip is your mindset. The biggest fear people have generally is public speaking. And that is a well-known, more than spiders, sharks, everything else. People are terrified of standing up in front of other people because other people judge us. And I think that's the hardest thing, is that you've got to build this barricade between you and the audience. You've got to understand that, yeah, you're going to be judged. I like to work on a percentage-wise. I figure if I can get 80% of people to pay attention and to be okay with me, I'm winning. Because no matter what I do, there are going to be people who are going to hate me instantly, who are going to not care, and some are just going to like me automatically. And you know this because even in your daily life, we judge books by covers. Whether we like to admit it or not, we do. And you can look at somebody and go, he looks dodgy, right? You do that immediately. You look at somebody and go, oh, I wouldn't trust him with a barge pole. People do that to you all the time when you're public speaking. And I think that's the fear that people have with it. Talking in front of people, not really that hard, because invariably, if you hold a microphone, people tend to keep their mouths shut. So it's just like talking to an empty room. It's pretty simple. It's the fear of the judgment. That's what gets you. So the number one thing is your mindset. Make sure that you're in the right mindset to do it and that you want to do it. And then from there, we're going to walk through a couple of very, very, very basics. So no, speaking is not a difficulty. We can all do it. But the most important thing for me is to target your audience. So when I'm saying audience targeting, I work here on Villa Vie residencies, and we are pretty much a family here. I can be very chilled. I know a lot of people in the room. I know your names. We can have a great time when we're talking to each other. If I was hosting in front of the royal family, it would be a completely different thing and a different style in what I'm saying to my audience, because my audience is different. I've also got to look at my audience and consider how old are they? Because if I'm going to make slang references to Charlie XCX or whatever thingy-mabobby's name is, I need to know my audience. So that is something that I look at first. Who is coming to see what I'm presenting? Who is going to be in my audience first? And how am I going to target that audience? How am I going to get to them to listen to me in comparison to them just falling asleep? Which, by the way, is quite funny from the stage point of view. I've done many a talk, especially a history talk, and I've just had people like full on in the front row. Hilarious. Loved it. But it was funny for me because I was okay with it. But the first time that happened, I was absolutely horrified because I was like, oh, I've put them there either dead or asleep, because I was on Princess and everybody was like 80 to dead. And I was like, he's either dead or sleeping. And then he started snoring. And then I knew it was okay. I hadn't killed anybody from boredom. So that's number one, is always target your audience first. Make sure you know who you're talking to. And the big question that you want to ask is, how do you want them to feel? Knowing about people is the top tip that I can give you when it comes to public speaking. How do you want people to feel? Because there's a big difference between a rock concert going, yeah, let's go, and the whole audience is going, woo, and everybody's jumping around, and like doing a funeral, because you're not going to do the same thing at both events. So you've got to know your event, your market, and how you want them to feel. And I find that if I want to do something that's really heartfelt and warming, I need to sit down and write it down. And that's when you'll find that I'll have a speech prepared. And I will always tell people, I hope you don't mind, but I have a speech prepared, and then I will read it. Because people will forgive me saying openly, I have a speech prepared for you because I didn't want to miss any points. I'm going to read it for you. People are like, cool, that's fine. But if I walk out onto stage and I go, well, a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, it's lovely to see you here, thanks for coming. I look very unprepared and unprofessional. It doesn't look like I know what I'm doing. But there's no ways I'm going to remember my Christmas Eve speech off the top of my head. That took a little while to write. So I will write that down, tell people what I'm going to do, and then deliver it. So keep an eye on your target audience. The next thing is preparation is key. And I cannot explain this enough to you. You need to know what you want to say in front of people before you get up to say it. There's nothing worse than being unprepared or your boss going, here, take the show off. I don't know what we're doing. What are we doing? So I'm going to give you an example. I was on Princess. I had been doing this for a few years already. I was the deputy cruise director on P&O Australia. And I got onto Princess, and I was on a particular ship. And the cruise director was interesting. And the entertainment director was drunk all the time. And my colleague didn't like me very much, which is fine, because I think I was a bit of a threat, because I came in and I had joined in a higher ranking position to what people normally join in. I'd come in strong. And they were trying to do a little sabotaging moment. So from running around doing like the golf putting and the golf chipping and the go clean a library kind of stuff, they called me the one day at 7:35. The show started at 7:30. I got called into the office. They said, oh, we're really busy. You need to take the show off tonight. And I said, sure, no problem. Because I was confident that I could do it. So what I did was I ran to guest services because I didn't have a copy of the program for the next day. So I had nothing to say. I didn't even know who the show was because it wasn't there. So I ran to guest services, grabbed today's and tomorrow's copy of the programming, had a look through, ran backstage, paced nervously, as you do, trying to remember what am I going to say, walk out, delivered the takeoff. When the lights came back on again, who was sitting there but 3 of them watching me to see if I would fail? And because I had taken a few minutes, lovely company. Anyways, but because I had taken a few minutes to have a look at the program and see what was happening tonight, so that I had something to finish off with, and who this guy was and what is happening tomorrow, so that I had something to talk about, I felt quietly confident that I could take the show off, and I did. And afterwards, my manager came to me and said, actually, that wasn't too bad. And I said, words that I won't say on the microphone because you're filming me right now. So, yes. Trying to make sure you know what you're talking about before you come up to speak is already half the battle won on the previous slide, which is getting that confidence within yourself. Because if you know your subject matter, you're not going to be scared of people asking you questions. So that is such a key thing. Figure out what you want to say and get into it, into your head as much as you can. Don't be scared to follow notes. Don't be scared to have something to fall back on. I used to, when I started off, I used to write the guest entertainer's name on my hand until the one day I realized I got really sweaty, and we had some Russian guy, and I was like, and give it up for, and I was like, oh crap, I can't read his name anymore because I'd sweated it off my hand. So, and you also end up with, you wipe your face and then all of a sudden I had pen mark here. So there are ways to do these things. I'd recommend paper instead of writing it on your hand. But don't be scared to have a cue card if you need a cue card. The wonderful thing about PowerPoint is that you can make notes in the presentation and you can follow those notes. And I would go with keynotes, because when you're starting to type out your whole speech, you're going to get lost and you're going to go, what did I want to say? And then you're going to stand at the computer and try and figure out, especially if you're doing a speaker's corner, for example. It's nice to just have a few notes and know what you wanted to say from that. So preparation is key. I like to call it preparation age. Right. Speaking of PowerPoint now, in my career, we use PowerPoint a lot because all our trivias and game shows are on PowerPoint, and I see the same issues all the time on PowerPoint. And I'm going to show you what a bad PowerPoint presentation looks like, and I want you to tell me what's wrong with it, and then what a better version looks like, which is easily done. You don't need to be a professional at PowerPoint to have a good looking PowerPoint. So, for example, let's have a look at this slide. Now, exactly. So if you're having a look at this slide, the first thing we've got to figure out when we're doing a presentation on PowerPoint, and this is specifically for Speaker's Corner, don't worry, we're going to get to the talking bit afterwards. But if you're doing your presentation slide, what you need to do is, again, consider your audience. So if I'm sitting in the audience and you've given me, for example, a pink background and you put red text on top of it, I can't read that. It's too close on the color wheel. If you'd gone an opposite, which is why black and white is a default good option. So is blue. Blue is a lovely color to have. Keep it blue. All black and white. If you're putting excessive amount of text on it, the first thing people are going to do is go, especially if you sit and read it off the slide. We've all seen these presentations, especially those of us who've been here a little bit longer. Your quality of your pictures, try and make sure that you get a great quality photo and something that is going to look good. So if you are Googling an image, my top option is when you go into Google and you click on images, use the little drop down in the tools and look for the large pictures and save the large pictures, because it means it's got more pixels, so it means it's going to project better and it's going to look nicer for your audience instead of having these weird half pixelated jobby wobbies that come up on stage. So that is meh. It's got nice information. The information's good. The picture's questionable. Yeah. This slide is much better. I'm sure you can agree. The photo is still not fantastic, but this is possible, especially if you're doing a speaker's corner. It's cut out half the text because I can tell you the other stuff. It's got a picture right where I want it to be, and it's got a little influence of Scotland. The text is moved over to the side. It's not competing. It's not so much text that people are put off. And half of you are busy reading the screen than listening to me. Isn't that good? Because it hasn't put you off with how much text there is. There's enough. And you can see it from where you're sitting, which is quite good. So do keep that in mind. It's one of those things that I've had to train a lot of my crew staff in the past, where I've sat with them and I've looked at the screen and I've gone, guys, I can't even see it from here. Like you cannot read it. Or you've got some really bizarre, super artsy text. It doesn't make sense. Keep it simple, keep it plain. You can read it from a distance, put in a beautiful photograph, or cut the text completely and just talk about the picture. Because if you have your subject matter, you just need to put a picture up. You can turn, you can look at it and go, that picture triggered me that I need to remember this, 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 and this. Those things are what I'm going to talk about in that picture. Next slide, next picture. It just makes more sense. Does that make sense to you? Have we learned a little? Okay, good. Good. Oh, thank you.
Still too much text.
Still too much text.
You could do it on multiple screens.
I have not done, yeah, you could put it on multiple screens, but this is completely acceptable. Right, now we're talking about the actual speaking part. The first thing that you want to do if you are doing any form of public speaking is you want to dry run your stage. You want to walk your stage first. This is called a tech run in shows. So what you want to do is you want to come up onto the stage and you're going to go, I want to be seen, because you should always be in the light. So I'm going to stand here and I'm going to go, where is my light for me? Okay, there's my light, because it's just shining in my eye. You can now see me. If I stand over here, you probably can't see me. If I'm hiding behind a podium, I've just cut half of myself off. So what I want to do is, as a cruise director, I will come out, I will also try and judge how far it is that I have to walk, because if I have to walk from there to here, and I have intro music, because I'm extra, I want to know how long my intro music takes, because there's something going da 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 da. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage your host, your cruise director, Lauren. I want to finish Lauren. Good evening, everybody. And I want to be like Michael Jackson in the light. So I need to make sure that I've started walking at the right time. So that means I've got to ask my production team, hey guys, can you play the song 5 times so I can figure out how long it takes me to get here to my mark in order to come out? And you need to do that before the time. You've also got to check your microphones, your stands, everything that's on the stage, because you may have props, you may have something extra. You've got to know how to navigate around it. Do you go behind it? Do you go in front of it? That depends on who your entertainer is or who your colleague is on stage. Who gets a preferential treatment? Who's the big cheese on the stage? Who do you want the focus to be on? So all of these things have to be dry run and teched beforehand. Your equipment's got to work, your timing's got to be right, and you need to know where your position is on stage. And then we get to the actual hosting of the event. So that's a blurry picture of somebody walking. But this one here is, I wanted to show you the actual hosting. So a few techniques. Number one, as I said, when you walk out, people are going to judge you. Done. On what you're wearing, how you look, your hair, everything. That's just part of the gig, unfortunately. That's how we do. So whenever you're hosting something, try, especially, I mean, here it's a little different because here we're all family and nobody's brought anything, overly over the top. But if you are hosting something, try and zhuzh it up a little bit. And then when you walk onto stage, the first thing that people are going to judge you on, funny enough, your shoes, because normally you're elevated. So that's the first thing, and women are terrible. I like her shoes, I hate her shoes. Everybody's on about the shoes, so be careful that your shoes are clean. But when you walk out on stage, it depends on how you do it. Because if you walk out on stage like this, it's very different to me walking out on stage like this. See the difference? There's a lot of confidence. There's a lot of like, I am ready. I know what I'm doing. I am here to walk with the mission. Here I am. And I'm also not going to walk off stage, for example. If I'm here, I'm not going to go, thank you very much, good night. Because I've just shown you my back. You don't want to see I've got a lovely bum, I'm not going to lie to you, but you don't want to see it, all right? No, maybe not in these trousers. So when you say, thank you very much, good night, the nice thing to do is to do like a 3 steps back and then side, like Zendaya, walking along on the red carpet. You do a little side waddle. You can still turn towards where you need to go, but always make sure there's a bit of you towards the audience. So even if you end up walking like this, slightly, and I'm walking, I'm still showing the audience my side. I'm not turning around, because that looks weird. Unless it is part of the script, because you may have something where you get told, turn around, walk towards the screen, and walk out. There might be something like that. We used to do a lot of game shows like this. So figuring your walk in, your walk out. When you're on stage, depending on what you're doing, there's a lot of different ways you can stand. So if I'm standing on stage and I'm like this, and I'm talking to you like this, this is my body language, and I'm saying I'm really nervous because I'm trying to hug myself because I'm super nervous. This means I've been programmed to be here. I'm fine. Everything's fine. We're okay. We're okay. We'll just talk. This means I'm super anxious, right? Because if I'm pacing like this, and I used to do this all the time, I used to pace because I thought, oh, it's nice. I could talk to this guy over here. I could be over here. I can talk to this guy down here. And I used to do this, and it was like watching a ping pong tournament. I was just moving all the time. The idea is to park and bark, is what we like to call it. Find your light, find your spot, park it, and talk. And you move your head, which I didn't realize for a couple of years. You move your head, you talk to people, and you don't pace up and down, no matter how big your stage is. It's great if you're a comedian who needs to do it for comic effect. There's always things you can do for comic effect. Me standing on stage, I sometimes stand like this because I'm feeling very comfortable and I can talk to you. And I'm giving you a joke. And now I'm getting you to like me. I'm putting my hand in my pocket and I'm showing you now I'm super comfortable with you guys. We can have a nice joke. This is a nice, my foot's forward, I'm nice and open, I'm feeling comfortable, I'm cozy, I'm relaxed. We're gonna have a little secret. It's gonna be our story, even though there's 9,000 people in the audience. No one else will know. Don't tell them, right? But invariably, I find, and we all have a nervous thing, the best thing to do when you're public speaking is to film yourself, because it's horrific, but it's also really good for you. I found that I have a little Tyrannosaurus Rex hand. So my nervous default is this. And I don't know why, but I stand like this all the time, like a little T-Rex with one hand. That's what I do. That's my nervous. I talk like this. I don't know why, but that's how I talk. So I've had to learn and train myself after watching videos, trying to get a show reel together, that I do this all the time, and I'm thinking, what are you doing with that hand? The best thing to do, instead of trying to hide your hand or keep your hand flat because it looks unnatural, is to stand and talk with your hand open. Because an open body language is allowing people to come in. You feel like if you're going to do this motion, come join me on a journey. I'm looking forward to having you. This idea of bringing a circle around and having your hand up shows a little bit of honesty and trustworthiness, and this is how you build people's confidence in you, is by having the hand up. Good? Excellent. Now we'll talk about what you're wearing. Try and theme what you're wearing to what you're talking about. If you have something solemn and serious, like for example, if you're hosting a memorial service or a Veterans Day, or something that gives a little bit of gravitas, something that you need something to be a little extra for, you're not going to be wearing this red jacket. You're probably going to be wearing something a little bit more somber, something really nice, something tailored, because it deserves that respect. If you're doing especially a military thing, you want to kind of keep it a little zhuzhy. If you're doing something fun, a comedian or whatever, you can wear something a little bit more wacky. You can go out for it. If it's a formal do, you want to be dressed to the nines as well, because you're going to be the person on stage. It's very rare that you'll find somebody coming out in shorts and a t-shirt to host an event. They will invariably put on some trousers with their guys, and ladies invariably we put on a jacket, or we have a really nice smart blouse, or something is there. We're always going to keep an eye on the hair, because the hair can sometimes do like a lot of this. I had a girl, she had the most beautiful hair, but all she was hair on stage. That's all you saw. She had this gorgeous long blonde hair, but she used to swing it over, and it would kind of half cover her face, and then she'd be like, hello everybody, and it looked like Barbie doll trying to host something. It was weird, it was distracting. So you need to try and undistract people as much as possible so that they are listening to you. To get them to listen to you, you need good microphone techniques, and this is where a problem comes into. So a microphone, I beg your pardon, but it's rather phallic to be standing here with a microphone like this. It's going to be very, very weird. And a lot of people don't realize that the receiver for a wireless mic is in here. So if you hold your mic here, you could very well cut off your audio. It's a potential that could happen. It could play with the audio. So having your microphone there also makes it weird, because things happen. So when you're holding a mic, you want to hold it here. And ladies, invariably, you want to try and hold your microphone like this. Because if you're holding it like this, thank you, John. Somebody knows what I'm talking about, right? So you want to hold your microphone around about here. And if you've got beautiful long nails, I don't, by all means show them off, or your ring, or whatever you want to do. You'll feel a lot of people, a lot of ladies will hold a mic like this. When you're speaking, be mindful that sometimes there are deaf people in an audience. They might be sitting right upstage, which has very often happened on Princess, and you'd have an interpreter doing sign language, which we never point out, by the way. Comedians do it, but those sign language interpreters are kind of prepped for that. But as a host, just like you wouldn't pick on somebody necessarily, you wouldn't pick on the sign language interpreter. But it's really nice, if you are doing it, to try and have your mic down so that people can see your mouth. Now, depending on what I want to do, I will wear different color lipstick. Today, I knew I was presenting something that I wanted you to listen to me. So I put on red lipstick today and a red jacket, because you can see me. On another day, when I am not the show, when I'm hosting somebody else and I want to go, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, John. And I'm going to turn around, and it's not about me, it's about John. I'll wear a pink lipstick or something else that's not quite as loud, because it's not about me, it's about their show. And then I will remove myself from the stage as we go. So when you're holding your microphone, try and keep it down. If you're on radio tends to hold over here. Can you hear the difference? And when you're listening to people, when they come up on stage or when they're asking questions at something, then people tend to hold the microphone down here. Yes. And then they're like, so when we go, but I've got a mic. Or some of them like to do this, and then they're like, blah, blah, blah. But I was just wondering, so when we did, and and you can't hear them because they're not directing. The little receiver for the microphone is right in the middle over there. So where you want to project is from the side. I'm holding it down. I like to think of about there. And if I've done an audio check with my technician beforehand, I know how much I need to project my voice to get it to there so that I'm not doing this and I'm not doing this, blah, blah, blah. Because if I'm holding my microphone here, we've set the audio up way different and you're going to get feedback and it's going to be weird, and this is going to be much better. I also don't want to be kissing the microphone too much. Times have changed on lipsticks and I'm delighted. I'm currently wearing something that doesn't kiss off, which is wonderful. But when I started, I used to wear this MAC lipstick and I used to talk like this where it was really close. So I used to get these little cross marks, right? And then I'd turn my head. And the one day I walked off of stage, no word of a lie, walked off of stage, did my thank you very much, good night. Thought I'm a genius, this is amazing. Walked into the theater, everybody said, oh, well done, you did cigarette. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Walked across the length of the ship, 4,000 people on the ship, found a mirror, and I had little crisscross marks all over my face from the microphone. Not only that, but the mic was permanently pink. So don't hold the mic over here. And also remember, we are not singing. When you sing, you tend to hold the mic up because you need to project your voice. And if I'm holding it here, I am singing. And when I'm really strong at singing, I'll move the microphone away because I know what's happening, because I don't want to deafen you by going in this microphone. Hip-hop artists do this. This is really weird. I don't know why people do this, but a lot of people do this. And a lot of people do this. And they rest their chin on the microphone. This is a problem because you can hear, all the way through your talk. So to prevent that, you want to hold the mic slightly as if you were almost licking an ice cream is a good option. Just over there. You keep it nice distance from you. You can have a little listen. You get your audio tech to sound it and check it. And you always have to trust your production team because 9 times out of 10, the monitors are facing that way and you may not hear yourself at all on stage. So to have a production guy, he's monitoring normally the booth, not on the ship, but normally the booth is in front of you, not on the ship. In any of our venues, funny enough, the booth is way to the side. Very odd. Anyways, and they're normally in front, they normally have the best sound so that they can project the sound. You shouldn't have to be yelling on the microphone. This shouldn't have to happen. And you shouldn't have to speak like this either because they need to adjust to your tone. And normally when you come on, that you do it in your tech run too. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good stuff.
Confidence is key, folks. Confidence is key. When you're bringing somebody on, you've got your walk-on. I've told you a little bit about a walk-off. You are introducing somebody. The thing to do when you are introducing somebody, if they're not on stage yet, you come into your light, you stand on your mark, you do your little spiel of whatever your spiel may be. Hi everyone, good evening ladies and gentlemen. If it's in a different language, aangenaamkens, goeienaand, dames en heren, baie welkom, no, da, da, da. So you say, good evening, afternoon, good day, welcome to whatever venue, a little bit of shmish, like it's nice to see ya, hope you've had a great day, blah, 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 whatever you've got. We have got a show for you tonight. This performer, because you don't name them, because you don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again. So you'd say something like, tonight's performer has been on NBC, ABC, BBC, all the C's that you guys have, I don't know what they are. He's also been on X, Y, and Z show. I cannot wait to see it. Please, welcome to the stage. Name. Because we always finish with name, because you're building it up, you build it up, it's building, name, and then you can turn your body, not like this, but just a nice turn, name, indicates, and invariably they will run out of there from their side curtain, at which point you step back, because it's not about you anymore, and they invariably go, thank you very much, and they're doing their thing. Hello. Yeah.
Should you get that name correct?
Should you get that name correct? Yes. You should. Does it happen all the time? No. I once took a guy off 4 times, and I did not get his name right once. Not once. And it was a weird, like, rhymey name, and I could not remember it for my life. These things happen. It's okay. But then once they're on stage and they're doing their thing, you can take 1, 2, 3. Now the attention is off of me because they're in the spotlight where they should be. I turn, I leave, and I switch my microphone off.
Why is that?
Especially if it's a headset. So, fun story. Piano Australia, we had a singer, and again, they would come out, obviously they're performing live, the little mics are taped onto their faces, they're those little beige ones, they're very specialized, got a little pack and everything else. It had been a moment, somebody had fallen asleep, something else had gone wrong. It was one of those things where they were just dodging things and just carrying on stage while things were going weird. And she ran off, and as she ran off, because the stage went black, and that was normally the cue for the production guys to mute, everything normally happens at once. They forgot to mute, and she was going off like a trooper, every F-bomb you could possibly imagine on the way out, and we were just sitting there going, that's not part of the script. Pretty sure that shouldn't be there. So it was very interesting. So please make sure that before you do anything else, you switch the microphone off, especially if you have your own control, like on this ship where we don't have the production capabilities to just automatically mute and do whatever we need to do. Speakers corners, you'll have your little Britney Spears headset on, and you have to switch it off yourself. So just be careful what you say, because even if you murmur under your breath, which I quite often do, it does pick up. It's quite terrifying. All right, I think that basically covers the extent of what we would do on board, and unless you really want to go ahead and become like a cruise director or something where you're like, I want to host 1,000 people, bring them to me. The nature of what we do on board, I think that pretty much covers it. Would anybody like to have a go on a microphone? Because I have a microphone stand right here. And what I would do is I'd put it here in the middle, and I'd invite anybody, if you would like, to come and have a little chat. Even a minute. And I challenge you to not say the word, oh.
Come on, Judy.
Want to give it a go? So when I was in college, come on up.
All right.
So today, I want you to put a show on. You're going to put on John Frim. He's going to be talking about engineering.
Not likely. But
Not likely. John Frim, he's the biggest liar in the world. All right? He doesn't know what he's doing. He's hilarious. And you're going to put him on. So you're going to just take him on. But he needs this microphone and he needs the mic stand. So you're all good. So let me just double check that we've got the height for you, Michael. There we go. That's good for you. You're going to start here. So I'm going to do a little, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage your host, your cruise director, Michael. And then you're going to come on, do a little wave, park, bark, talk about John, and then go. Till the very last second. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, sorry. Are you ready? Music's playing. People are coming into the theater. Very excited. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage your host and cruise director. It's Michael.
Thank you all for being here tonight. It's a great pleasure. We have the best act for you for tonight. It is a treat. It is a wonder. It is going to be a mystery. This guy is so amazing. I have heard him talk in the bathroom the other day, and I was blown away. He kept going on and on. I stayed extra long just so I could hear the end. Really intelligent, very funny, very creative. This is stuff that you're going to use today, tomorrow, and the rest of your life. Let me introduce to you the one, the only, the incredible John!
Woo! Good job! Not bad, right? Not bad at all. The only things I could say is really try and stand a little closer to the mic. Little closer to me. There we go.
Little closer.
And get a new act.
Get a new act.
Yeah. It's John. I'm worried about things in the bathroom. I think that's the honest with you. You hearing things in the bathroom, we've got big issues. Big issues.
Well, you know, there are microphones in there, right?
I don't know. Cameras, we do not have that yet.
Okay.
However, there is a possibility thereof in future. Anybody else want to give it a go?
Only one arm.
And only one arm, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, he had only one arm.
that's good. All right. Does anybody want to try with a headset?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So, I'm here because I'm going to be in the speaker corner.
Yes.
So, can you have any tips specific for that, as far as so being intro, where they stand?
Wonderful. So tip specific for Speaker's Corner, because he's going to do a Speaker's Corner. That is my first tip. Repeat the question so that everybody can hear it. And you can make it a bit shorter. If you're repeating a question for somebody, you can just kind of go,
You can summarize.
okay, he was asking about this. Because sometimes people, and they give you their life story, and you're like, please, for the love of God, can I get back to my talk? So, Speaker's Corner, top tip, number 1, arrive a little bit early. Kid likes to be here at 8 o'clock. I agree completely with that, so that we can check, especially if you haven't done a Speaker's Corner before, that we've got the mic set and it's comfortable for you, because this is the headset that you will be wearing. It does look like Britney Spears has gone wrong, and everybody puts it on like an Alice band, and it gets really weird, and I'm not quite sure what people do or how they think their face works. But basically the mic goes that way. Sorry, I'm doing it with one hand. But basically the mic comes to here, and a lot of people tend to do it like an Alice band, like a thing like this, and I'm not sure what this is. But we try and get that onto you as soon as possible and get you comfortable with the headset. Then you're also going to be forgiving, because we're going to shove our hands in your pants while we try and hook it on at the back here to get you on the ins and outs. Make sure your PowerPoint presentation works. A lot of the time, if you're saving something from the internet, it'll save to OneDrive or to the cloud or whatever, and sometimes your image doesn't appear. So make sure that you save those images onto your computer and then insert them from the computer into the laptop, into your PowerPoint presentation. Or if you're embedding something, just make sure that your Wi-Fi is going to stay connected throughout, which Wi-Fi. So if you can try and get it embedded so that it will play regardless, that's a great thing to do. If you're working with a Mac, we need, because we've got little HDMI cables and USB, and Mac doesn't necessarily like everything else. We have a little adapter, but if you have the tech, there we go. If you have a little dongle like those little thingy-mabobbies, if you have one, bring it with, because we are running on a very old-fashioned system here, to be fair, and it's better if you already have all the things that you need to connect your things with. HDMI cable and a USB is what we're looking for. Audio, if you can try and keep audio out of a presentation, fantastic. If you can't, not a problem. It is working currently, but that's now. And maybe in 20 minutes it doesn't work anymore, so that's it. So the preparation is the key there. And then when you arrive, when you're doing your Speaker's Corner, Kit will invariably do an introduction for you. Kit invariably stands over here, does a little introduction and goes and sits down. My top tip for you is to not be too concerned about hiding behind the podium. Because we need to see the screen, the light here is pretty grim. So you can't really see somebody, but we also don't want to be walking in front of the screen. So try and stand, if you can, just a little bit forward of the podium. I like to host from here. I don't know if you've ever seen, I get quite casual, like we're doing a little game show, and I feel very comfortable with a slight lean because we're in a nice casual environment. But try and make it so that you're not standing here and hiding behind the podium and reading your notes. That's why I always say, have your picture, because now I'm still not in the way, you can still see the picture, but now you can see me. And I know that the picture on the screen has got a woman with her hands outstretched. So I'm trying to show you what it looks like from our perspective, looking out into an audience, knowing that there's nothing, you can't see anything. it's weird because you're singing into a void, you're talking into a void, there's no response, you can't see somebody's face, you don't know if the joke's landing, you don't know those things. I'm taking all of that from that image because that's what I've associated that image with. So the more images you have for a speaker's corner, the better it is, instead less text. Yes?
Yeah, but if you've got a lot of images and you're standing in front of the podium, then
Yeah.
you're constantly going back, clicking, coming back out to talk, going back, clicking. And
Get a
come
clicker.
out. And like,
Get the clicker.
I'd rather stand behind the podium.
And if you want to stand there, that's fine. It's okay to stand behind the podium. There's nothing wrong with it. But the problem with the podium is that you're now hiding behind it.
Yeah, I know.
Even if you just do this,
Oh.
you feel a little bit more like I'm trying to connect with you because this is me blocking, this is the equivalent of me doing this. The podium for me is blocking you off, and I don't mind it. And if I am doing a podium talk for an extended time, I quite like to have a microphone here because then I can put my hands out and I feel with the hand gesture, I feel like I can, it feels a bit preachy to be fair, a podium. That's why I prefer, but if I'm doing something like a Memorial Day, I will read the poem from here and I will speak, but I will keep my hands visible. Because invariably a podium, you tend to drop your hands and a lot of people put it on here and then you just become a wooden casket with a head sticking out of it. So even if you just stand to this side and talk about what's on the screen, this feels more open because I've just opened myself out to most of the room except for this section over here where nobody sits anyways. So that's, I would stand here for a speaker's corner. And then when you are done, feel free to come a little bit forward, especially for questions, and say, folks, and now I'm standing because I'm looking at the lights, I can see the lights in my face, so I know I'm there, and I'll say, folks, do we have any questions? We have a mic runner over here, we have a mic runner over there. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And then allow your mic runners time to get to the people. Because there's nothing worse when you're in a 986-seat stadium type situation and the captain's on the stage and he goes, let's take a question from the top. And you're like, dear God. And then you hand in the microphone, right? So don't be mindful of where your mic people are. You can say, I see you there, we're on our way. Well, let's quickly grab this one on the way, and then you can kind of conduct it. Another important thing to do is keep an eye on your time. Now, there's nothing worse than going every 5 seconds, because it looks like I don't want to be here. But you have to keep an eye on your time, and you've got to respect the time that is given for the event. 45 minutes, people start losing interest. After that, you're done. Good. Kevin.
Kit keeps the eye on the time for you and really tells you what's
Kit does keep an eye on the time. She's very good with that, which is good. Which is good. Yes, Monica.
What about moving the podium up a little bit so that
You can. You can.
just forward a bit?
Yeah. And then
Oh,
that
well,
that means
you
you're
have to
blocking
take
the
that
screen.
into consideration.
Yeah.
You don't want to do
Well,
that.
the podium moves all the time. So
Okay.
that's part of your pre-run walkthrough. So you would probably, if you know this about it and it's the first time you do it, get 3 people to come with you while you're doing your tech run and say, how do I sound? And they'll say, I can't hear you. Or how does it look from here? And get somebody else to walk around and go, yeah, that's good, that's good. Or just a little bit forward, yeah, that's where you need to be. That's the best thing to do. That's what your tech, your host, and everybody else is there for. If you are the person who is performing for whatever it is, if you are not the host, but you're hosting, but you're the performance, your support team are there for you for that reason, to stand here and go, you're out of the light. Don't stand there. Little bit more, little bit more, little bit more, and stop. Now you're in the light, you're in a good spot. Okay, I'm by that table, that chair, nobody move the chair. Let me look at the window. Okay, I'm at the window, I can see the light, that's where I need to be. Great, and then you mark yourself. So that's my top tips. Any other questions? Yes,
Just an observation in this room, I'll often sit on that side
Yeah.
and I get blocked off.
Yes.
But I also get up and close the curtains
Yes.
because it washes out the.
Yes, absolutely. It is one of those things that on a pre-tech run, especially in the evening, we need to have a look at it. Lighting, all these kind of things are so important. Now, this ship is difficult because we cannot switch off those sconce lights. We don't know where it is. And the lighting panel is also, it says it's the table light. It's not the table light. That's why every night, I don't know if you've noticed, when you come in, the light goes on, light goes off. Then another one comes on, goes off, goes on, goes off. It's because I'm trying to figure out which one it is, because they mislabeled. But that's all part of a preset. So we try and get the room, and depending on what you want to do. If we're doing a show with a singer, I want a dark room because I want the light, I want the effect, I want the focus to be on the singer. When I'm doing a talk where I have Q&A and I'm interacting with people and I want to see what do they find funny, what am I doing that's going to get people involved, how many people are falling asleep, I need a little bit more lighting to see the guests. So when I take off shows on a big main theater, I always ask my production team, when I come on, bring the house lights up just a little bit. Not enough to lighten the whole theater, like, ta-da, show's finished, get out. Because normally that's what you feel. When the lights come on, it's like, get out. So I ask them to just bring the lights up a little bit, because I'm also aware that there's a good 30% of people are going to get up and walk out before I even start talking, because they're going to dinner or they're going to another thing. So I don't want them falling up the stairs, because I'm not the show's over. But I do want to see those people who are left behind. And I want to be able to say, right at the end, when I'm taking somebody off, and they're done, and they say, thank you very much, good night, and I will walk out, and I'll say, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll organize this before with the performer, are you going to do
An encore.
an encore, or a false tab is what I call it. That's when they go, false tab, when they come out and they're like, oh, it's me. And sometimes they're quite obnoxious and they're like, I'll do this for an encore. And I'm like, the show sucked. And now you're going to be like, let's hear it one more time. Ugh. And nobody wants to hear it one more time. It's really humiliating. Or you'll always know for me, if it was really bad show, I say, what a show. Because I don't say, wasn't that great? Because some Australian will be sitting there going, no, that was a piece of shit. They've done that, right? So if you ask an audience a question, expect an answer. So don't ask them any questions. You can just say, what a show. Because it could be 50-50. Like every day is a new horizon. Could go either way, right? It depends. So what a show is a great way to, I don't know what to say. Or if you go, oh my goodness, that was incredible. Everybody goes, yeah! Because now they've really enjoyed it. So you will get people on your side, or they'll be like, this is horrendous. The problem is the artist will be backstage and they can hear everything. So you can't say, well, that was crap. Because that's not professional. You can't do that. So just what a show works out pretty well. And then when they're doing this false tabbing up and downing, depending on what it is, you can do a voiceover saying, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for John Frim. One more time, folks, when he runs out. And then he, one more time, folks, give it up for John Frim. Yay! And he goes out again. That's his little thing. Or do you want more? And then they'll go, no. And you say, okay. But if you know they want more, go, let's get one more. And then they come out. And when you're doing that, and sometimes they won't leave the stage, and they stuck there like glue. So you're now getting ready to walk off, like to take them off. And you're going, John Frim, da la la la. And you're standing there. And then you can come out, and if they're still going, some of them are super dramatic. Stand behind them and clap. And then once they leave, and you let them leave in front of you, never behind you, they always go in front. Once they leave, then you can take a stage and you can say, what a show. What a show, everybody. Well, I don't know about you, but I am looking forward to tomorrow, because that's what I would do. And then I would go into something that's coming in future, and then I'll say, but right now, and this is the only question I'll ask people, I'll say, what do you feel like doing? Especially if I know we have a lot of stuff. Now this ship is a little different because we don't have musicians, we don't have performers, we don't have these big things. So I won't say that, but at the end of a speaker's corner, you can say, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget we're in port tomorrow. The first tent is at 8 o'clock. I'm going to see you on that one. Have a lovely evening. Thanks again. Take care. That's a lovely way to say goodnight because it's showing we're wrapping up, and then Kit will come up and do something for you too. But if it was me with a show, I'd say, don't forget tomorrow, back here we've got da-da-da-da happening, we've got this, 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 and this. But back to tonight, what do you guys feel like doing? Everybody say, I want to go to bed. Fine. And then I'll make a joke about it, and I'll say, great, you can go to bed. Or if you want to hear your favorite song being butchered by somebody you don't know, we've got karaoke at 8:30. And best off, we've got the DJ up in the nightclub. He is playing till 1, 2, 3 minutes past midnight. Have a lovely evening. And invariably to try and finish off on something light, because you want people to remember the last bit that they did with you was something. Now you can't do it at a memorial service, like thousands of people died. Have a great day. It doesn't work, right? So you'd have to do memorial service, just a heartfelt thank you so much all for coming. We really appreciate you being here. If you're doing military, you would say thank you for your service, whatever you're doing, and then you would again step back and walk off the stage if everybody's piling off together at the same time. If it's something like a speaker's corner where you want them to feel good about something right at the end, just give them something a little extra, something upbeat to leave them with. Saying, oh guys, we're talking about the history of medieval cooking or whatever, and you can say, just as well we didn't eat pottage, or we might be close to it soon. Thank you very much, have a good night, and leave. Like, you can do a little something, and yeah, that might help you leave it on a light note, on a high note, on a little bit of a chuckle as people walk out. They don't need to find you hilariously funny, you don't need to do a full comedy routine, but just something light, just to go, whoop, little cherry on the top, we've had a great day. And even remember, even if you mess it up, at least you've given it a go and everything is a learning experience. But if you've got the keys of holding your mic properly, you've done your research, you know your subject, which is really important. If you know your subject, you've done your research, you can hold an audience captive for quite a little while because you can talk about it for ages. Any other questions? Are we all good?
Good.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure. My name's Lauren. I've been your cruise director. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you later. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks, guys.